Step to create this photo survey in Adobe Photoshop that I am calling the My Life, My Art project. So first step is we're going to open up a photo that hopefully you guys have emailed to yourself for homework. So I'm just going to hop into my Gmail account and I'm going to open up the email that I sent to myself. Here's the photo I want to use. Just hover your mouse over the photo and you should see a download icon in the bottom right hand corner. You can click it and what should happen is your photo is going to jump down here into your downloads folder, and after it's done downloading you will also probably see it pop up in a little preview box. Waiting for that to happen. There it is. We don't need the preview, so I'm just going to X it out. Down here on the dock you can see the downloads folder. If I click it, there it is. Little side note, if you did not bring in a photograph to use for this project, feel free to use the Photo Booth app right down here on your dock to take a quick selfie at your computer. Okay, moving on. Next thing we're going to need is we're going to need the project template from the website. So at the top of this web page, find in the header the black button that says Project Template. Click on it. It should automatically download the template to your downloads folder. What should also happen is when it's done downloading, it should open up in Adobe Photoshop automatically. If it doesn't, you can always find the little template here in your downloads and just click, drag, and drop it into the Photoshop little icon there, and it will open it up that way as well. Alright, so now that we have our template set up, a couple things to notice. Here is our layers panel. You can see that we have two layers here. Layer 1, if we click on the eyeball, we can hide it and show it, hide it, show it. So you can see that layer 1 is just comprised of this white frame with all of our survey questions on it. If we look at layer 2 and toggle the eyeball on and off, we can hide it and show it and hide it and show it. So you can see layer 2 is just comprised of this simple gray rectangle that says photo goes here. If I hide both of them, you can see whenever you see these little checkers, that just means there's nothing there. It's empty space. Alright, let's turn the visibility back on by clicking the eyeballs, and we're going to add our photo. So click down here on your downloads folder, find the photo that we downloaded, and let's just drag it and drop it in. Once you have it there, you can see it has this bounding box around it. You can just click outside of your document right here in the background on your canvas, and it will just commit to that photo being there. And now we can work with it. You can see that my photo is kind of blocking out the survey behind it. To fix that, what we're going to do is we're going to look over into our layers panel and we're going to drag that layer down so that it's underneath layer 1 but on top of layer 2. You'll notice whatever layer is on the top will block out whatever is underneath it. So if you drag it down too far, all the way to the bottom, you can see it's completely blocked out by layer 2, that gray box. So I'm going to drag it back up so it's in between layer 1 and 2, and you can see now my layer 1 acts as like a nice white frame around my photo, which I like. I do have to move it over a little bit because it's not centered in my rectangle. So one way to do that is over here you have all your different tools. This is your tools panel, and I'm going to use the one all the way at the top. That's my move tool, and with my move tool and making sure that I have my photo layer clicked on and selected over here, I can move my photo around. You may find that you want to resize your image as well. If you want to resize it, then we're going to do something called transform. So to transform, you're going to look on your keyboard and find the Command key, which is right next to your spacebar, and the letter T for transform. You're going to hit Command T, and that's going to give you this bounding box, and you can then drag in and out from one of your corners until you have it the right size, and then just click outside to set it into place. Great. So next step is going to be adding text. So the way that we add text is we're going to use this little T over here. This is your type tool. If we click on it, you can see I have a little cursor that I can click wherever I want to add my text. One thing to note before you start typing is the color that your text is going to be. Up here on your options toolbar, up here, your options bar rather, you have a little square or rectangle with a color in it. This is your color picker. So in here you can kind of drag your circle around to pick different tints and shades of a certain color, like this is set on red. You can use this slider over here to choose different hues or colors, so blue, and you can choose different ones. To start out with, I'm just going to stick with black. You can always go back later and change this at a later time if you want to get a little creative. Now I'm going to start using my type tool. Before you start, I want you to make sure that you have layer 1 selected in your layers panel. This is because when you add your type, it's going to go above this layer. If we had this layer still selected, it would get hidden beneath layer 1 and you wouldn't be able to see it. So click on layer 1 first, then with the type tool selected, I'm just going to click and start typing. So my name, this is Cook. Alright, and then I can just click this little check mark or click outside of my document in this canvas area here and it will set it in place. So what you can do to experiment is you can choose different fonts up here. You can see it will kind of give you a live preview as you scroll over all of them, which is nice. So you can kind of see what it looks like and choose one that you like. You can also change your font size here. One way that I like to change my font size for this particular project is I like to just use the free transform tool again, just like how we resized our photo. So I can do, making sure that my text or type layer here is selected, I can just do Command T on my keyboard and I can resize it and move it and put it wherever I think looks best. Click outside and it is set. You can also go back and change the color using the color picker. So that's that. You're going to just repeat this process for each of your different answers. So with my type tool still selected, I can click on my next line and just the same thing. You know, type in your answer, click outside to set the type in place, play around with colors, fonts, size, use Command T to transform it, resize it, and that's all you're going to do for the rest of all these answers. When you're all done filling out your answers, all that's left to do is save your work. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to save it as a Photoshop document. To save it as a Photoshop document, we just did File, Save As. You're going to make the file name My Life, My Art, that's the project name, and then your name. Or, you know, it could be your name first, Mrs. Cook, My Life, My Art, and then we are going to make the format Photoshop, and I'm just going to change the where. I'm going to save this to my Google Drive. Okay, so double check that your format is Photoshop. That's really important. When you save it as a Photoshop format, it's going to preserve all of your layers. This is super duper important, especially if you do not finish your work and you want to resume working on this next class period. When you open up your Photoshop format file, you'll look over here in your layers panel and you'll have all your layers just like how you left them. So you can go in and move your photo around. You can go in and change one specific type layer and change your answer. So that's really important. So let's save that Photoshop file. We'll just click OK. And when you're all done with your project and you're ready to turn it into me on Schoology, we need to actually save it a different way. We're going to do File, Save As again. And this time you can keep everything the same except for the format. So format, you're going to go to the drop down menu and we're going to change it to JPEG. We're going to do this because your Photoshop file that we saved before, while it's great for going back in and reworking your work, it will not upload to Schoology. It will not upload. So when you're ready to turn in your work, you have to turn it in as a JPEG. So change it to a JPEG, click Save, click OK, and you're all set. All right, guys, have fun. Thanks.